Hey guys, happy Sunday. This is my Sunday casual look. Deal with it. I'm trying something new tonight with this premiere thing. I've never done it before. Supposedly, the way it works is, like, instead of me uploading a video, which I am uploading it, but once I upload it, I go live. So I'm here while you guys watch it so you can interact and ask questions. If it turns out to be a bust, I tried, but let's give it a shot. So I'm not going through an episode tonight because a lot of people want to know a lot of different things, and I've been answering like the same questions over and over. So I kind of want to highlight the biggest questions and the biggest reasonings that I'm getting these questions, especially the Ryan versus Scott Tadich and Bobby Dassey debate. Clear up some rumors. Bobby Dassey is not in jail. I have not got confirmation if his wife actually left or not. It could just be a rumor. You can't trust anyone in the family because they all lie. It's really a shame that Barb didn't lie this much for Brendan because he may not be in jail for 11 years. But we're not going to go there. What I will say, though, is one of the biggest debates that I've had, and recently lost a guilter friend because of it, because she doesn't understand. And again, I'm not putting down guilters, but the one connection that they all have is they don't know how to think outside the box. And I think that's why they think the way they think. Most of them, not all of them, focus on one thing and can't see the totality of the entire picture. That is why these people think Avery's guilty or Brendan's guilty. So one of the biggest excuses that anyone that knows me knows I like to do shit with my hands, so that's why I wear a scarf, so I hold it. One of the biggest debates is, well, Stephen Avery killed animals. Stephen Avery killed his family cat while he was married. I fully understand and do not justify what he did, ever. I do not engage in killing animals. I don't think it's right to kill an animal under any circumstance. I completely and 100% think he was dead wrong. At the same time, he served his time. He went to jail for it. He came up front, he admitted what he did, he owned it, and he did his time for it. He did 18 years for it, technically, but a lot of people use that as a reason he could have killed, or that he killed Teresa Halbach, because he had this violent past, which he really didn't, but he had this violent past. Well, let's break that down a little. He really didn't have a violent past, but more importantly, look at the flip side. I personally would much rather live next to Stephen Avery than Ken Kratz. Ken Kratz is a fucking womanizer. He is a disgusting, filthy, fat, Mike Tyson voice slob who thinks the whole world centers around him and his needs and his desires. If you haven't read his book, it's enlightening. When I say enlightening, not about Stephen Avery case, about how deep his narcissism really goes, and honestly what a sick fuck he is. So I'm going to pull up a letter. I'm hoping you guys can still see me when I do it. I would put it on my other screen, but then it would look weird. So I'm going to pull it out. Like I said, hopefully you guys can still see me. So in September 23rd of 2010, I am not sure if this was after the sexting scandal, before the sexting scandal, or when it actually happened. But someone wrote a letter to Governor Jim Doyle. Dear Governor Doyle, I just want to make you aware of some inappropriate questions that Ken Kratz had asked my 17-year-old daughter when we had an appointment with him in July of 2010. This appointment was prior to the preliminary hearing regarding state of Wisconsin versus XYZ. My daughter had a relationship with Mr. X, who we found out was a registered sex offender. This case is still open with a state status hearing set for blah blah in Calumet County. On our meeting with Ken, he asked my daughter the following questions. Please keep in mind it's not word for word. Who would usually take off your clothes before sex? Referring to my daughter. Do you know what ejaculation means? Would he usually ejaculate in you or out? About how long did the sex last? Then he proceeded to ask other sex acts questions, in parentheses, oral sex. Then he asked her those questions, mouth to penis, mouth to vagina, etc. At the time these questions were going on, I did not feel these were appropriate, as she is a victim of a sex offender, and I thought it was a DA's job to make this as painless as possible for the victim. My client advocate from blah blah was in the room, and also we discussed this after we left. She felt the same way I did about his questioning. This was before the preliminary hearing, and we don't know if this will go to trial. Some of these questions I would have a hard time believing a defense attorney would even ask a victim. Also in the room at the time was Londa Thomas, who is a victim witness assistant in Ken Kratz's office. I was sitting on a couch behind her and my daughter, so I was not able to see her reaction to these questions, but it did not appear that she thought anything was wrong with them. I was very angry when I heard the news about Ken Kratz. I felt he violated and further victimized my daughter by getting some sick enjoyment out of the answers she gave to his questions. I also felt he was no better than the guy he was trying to put behind bars as a repeat sex offender. I would hope you would remove him from office so that he will not be able to abuse his powers and further victimize anyone else. As my daughter is under the age of 18, I would appreciate it if you would not use my name in any press reports as to protect her privacy. I also would hope that Londa Thomas would cooperate in any questioning regarding this matter or other cases where his actions were inappropriate to a victim. Wow. I read that. I'm not surprised by it because, I mean, we're talking about Ken Kratz. My point is that if a guilter or anybody is going to use the cat instance as, oh my God, he killed a cat, then you can't deny, oh my God, Ken Kratz is a fucking womanizer. And as I said in another video, and a woman abuser who gets this sick pleasure out of victims. That is so much worse than Stephen killing a cat. I don't know if you can understand that. I understand a cat is horrible. But that also happened in the 80s. This happened in 2010. That's 8 years ago. Stephen was a fucking nobody. He was just I hate to say it, he was just a lowlife living in Wisconsin who was young and was a dad and was a loser. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's true. He wasn't exactly an upstanding citizen. But Ken Kratz is a fucking DA. It's not even in comparison. Now let's take it a step further. Len Kaczynski. Len is also, and I went through this in another video, is also a basically a sex offender. His dick is probably small and shriveled by now. I mean, Kratz always was. But his dick is probably small and shriveled. He's like 70 fucking years old. And he's obsessed with his secretary to the point that he's following her around. They told him to stop. He couldn't stop. I mean, what the fuck? Like, come on, people. I forgot you're still on here. And I can't for the life of me see how people can think a DA that does that over and over and over. And this is not like what he could have done. This is what he did. And he was convicted of it. How the fuck do you not think that he made up that entire testimony, press conference? That press conference is his deepest, darkest fantasies. And how anybody cannot see that is mind-blowing. The reason I say that is thinking about it, and I went back and watched the interviews. Brendan didn't say all those things. Kratz put a lot of himself into that, and where would he have gotten it from? His own fucking sick brain. Once you put that into perspective, please tell me how you don't think he's capable of setting up this whole thing. You have to be a fucking moron to think Stephen Avery murdered her because he murdered a cat, but doesn't think Ken Kratz concocted this deep, dark fantasy in his own fucking brain and blamed it on the two of them. I'm not saying Kratz killed her. I don't mean that. But that whole press conference, the way he laid out the evidence, Brendan didn't say all that. And nor did he say that Stephen was sweating and this deep sweat, and we won't even get into that. But yeah, it didn't happen like that. That was Kratz's own fucking fantasy. And if you can't see that, you're blind. Completely fucking blind. So that was the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. The second thing I wanted to get out of the way is this whole Ryan, Scott, Bobby issue. A lot of people still think it's Ryan. Here's my feeling on it. It doesn't matter what any of us think. Kathleen Zellner, who we all are supposed to trust, and we all think she knows what she's doing, and you want to have faith in her, you have to believe she ruled out Ryan. Not completely ruled him out, but she went on Making a Murderer2, episode 10 and 9, and blatantly states Bobby and Scott did it. You have to believe that she's done her work. She's been on this case 2 years. I can't totally say that she's been great for 2 years, but she's been on the case for 2 years. So you have to have a little faith in her. If she says it's not Ryan, I believe her it's not Ryan. If she believes that maybe it is Ryan, she wouldn't have named Scott and Bobby. She obviously has proof that it's Scott and Bobby. Otherwise she wouldn't have said it, especially the way the way Scott is acting. So a lot of people are asking me, what makes you so sure? Look, I just have an opinion. I wasn't there. I can't tell you for sure, but all the evidence points to them. I'll say it again, and I've said it before. I do not believe, and I might be wrong, I do not believe Scott was involved in the murder. I truly believe Scott was involved in the cover-up. So where does Ryan come in? Why would Ryan lie? This is what I think. Since Teresa's car was not too far from Avery's house, like, how did Zellner say? It was like right down the road or around the corner. If you look at a map, it was kind of like around and about. I think that Ryan was trying to find her just because he stalks her. For whatever reason, he was trying to find her. But I believe he found the car. I don't believe he found her. I believe he found the car. Now, we all know Ryan has a spare. Ryan may have gone home, got the spare, came back to the car, got in the car, noticed her things were in it, started, what do you think happened to her? But Ryan, being Ryan and knowing that he was stalking her, didn't want anyone to know what he was doing, so he said that he hadn't seen her. And he got paranoid that he said it. And once you start lying, you're not stopping. You just have to keep lying. I really firmly, in my heart of hearts, believe that's what he's guilty of, which he can't say either. Then it becomes the police and the cover-up and all that. But then he can't say it either. So that's my opinion of what happened with Ryan, because there were too many little things. But I don't know. My heart of hearts has always told me Ryan's not the killer. So moving on, the third thing that I get asked the most, and now I just had it and I just forgot. Third thing I get asked the most is, oh my God, I cannot believe I just forgot. I totally forgot. I seriously just forgot. I totally cannot remember what the third thing was. I'll probably remember it live. So this video is actually longer than I thought. So I'm going to cut it now, but I guess we're going to watch it together. So hopefully this premiere thing goes well. And hopefully you guys are around. I'm going to wait, probably give it an hour. So I'll be around for an hour. It won't be another 3-hour thing, but don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, Making a Murderer Uncensored, or it's www.facebook.com/policecorruption101. Or, I'm sorry, facebook.com/groups/policecorruption101. And I want to thank all you guys so much. The number of subscribers that I'm getting every day is like exciting. And I'm just, as long as you guys want me to keep talking, I will keep talking. So thank you guys so much. And I will... Oh, and I have to give a shout out to Kay Hollow, who gave me my very first $5 donation on our live session on Friday. I thought that was absolutely awesome. Totally unexpected. I didn't even know you could do it. So that was like very humbling. So thank you so much. And I will see you guys in like 10 minutes. All right. Peace out.